Hello, welcome to Community Matters. My name is Becky Steinbrunner, and I'm honored to be your host here for the next 2 hours. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today and appreciate your support of SantaCruzVoice.com. We all care about continuing good local radio coverage, and this is our part in the community to help you be involved in what matters to you. This is Community Matters. My name again is Becky Steinbrunner. I have, I think, a really interesting program for you today, and that will be the first hour. My guest will be Gillian Greensite. She's on her way here to the studio. We have moved, so some people who have gone to the other studio are finding it a little more challenging to find our new location, but it is a great location and a good studio here. So my guest will be Gillian Greensite, and she's going to be talking about an upcoming plan to be reviewed by the Santa Cruz City Council to create an affordable housing overlay district that will consume or involve about 15% of the buildable city area of the city in Santa Cruz. And why this is important is because what this would do is it would change what the process that is currently in place for discretionary permits. It would change that for projects that come in that are affordable housing projects to be approved ministerially. That means without any public hearings. And it would also add in the ability of these developers to remove large heritage trees in the area of the project if they're in the way, essentially. If they cannot be feasibly incorporated into the development. So we're going to be hearing more about that from Gillian Greensite, and as soon as she gets in here to the studio. It was going to be on next Tuesday's Santa Cruz City Council meeting, but I looked at the agenda that was just released about an hour ago, and it is not going to be is going to be continued to a future time and not discussed, but I want people to still comment. So stand by. My guest has just arrived. Not to worry. Take a moment. Catch your
I
breath.
need more than a moment.
Yes.
Oh my God, this crapped out on me. I didn't know
Oh.
where to go. I
Oh,
ended
my
up in the
goodness.
hills.
Oh, Jillian. Oh.
And then there's no sign on the door. I didn't know that I was anywhere.
Oh. Well, take a moment, rest. I'm just giving our listeners a bit of a rundown as to what we're going to be talking about here today. I gave a brief description. Not to worry, not to worry. Thank you. Gillian Greensite has just arrived, so I'm going to let her calm down a moment, and I'll continue. The second hour will be begin with a bit of a public service announcement by the local ham radio operators talking about Winter Field Day. And that's coming up tomorrow, where you can get involved and learn more about ham radio and why it is important. And then the rest of the hour will be my guest, Mr. Ed Mitchell, from the Never Again Moss Landing group, and he was one of the presenters at last Saturday's event that we talked about here last week with Scott Smith, talking about what is happening at the Moss Landing Vistra fire site. With that, I'm going to check in with my wonderful guest here, Gillian. Hello.
Hello, Becky. Thank you. Good to be here. I learned don't rely on your iPhone and Google Maps when the sound goes out.
Oh.
So I had no idea. And driving, you can't look at the arrows. So I ended up in the hills of Scotts Valley. I left home plenty of time.
Yes.
And then, anyway, I'm here. I'm
Thank
very
you.
glad.
I am very
Yes.
glad you're here. I'm sorry for your trauma.
It was traumatic, I have to say. I have no idea why the sound cut out.
Oh.
But, that's in the past. Now I'm
There
here.
we
this
are.
is the present.
And
Yes.
for your next interview, you'll know exactly where to come.
Yes, yes. Although a sign on the door would help.
Yes, it would. We've only been here in this spot about 2 weeks, 3
Right.
weeks.
But
So
it's- yeah.
we're still moving in, and I talked with someone about getting a sign out on the marquee at the street.
Well, at least on the door entrance to the building. 'Cause
Ah.
I was wandering around this ground floor calling out, hello, hello. Yes.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I taped my card to the door. Maybe it
I
wasn't
didn't see
still
that.
there.
But anyway.
Well, here we are.
That aside, yes.
Let's move on. And I want to take a moment here, Gillian, to thank you for your good work, your very hard work in the community to do many things, raise awareness of many issues. And I want to thank you for your good work.
Thank you, Becky. I'll return the compliment because you also do a lot of good work.
We all work
Appreciate
together.
Yep. And with many others too.
Indeed, indeed. We are a team. So, first introduce yourself, please, to those who may be listening and don't know you, and then jump right into the issue that we want to talk about today.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Well, gosh, I've been here, actually, I've just counted the years up because I always forget to add one. You know, it's like, but I've been here now in Santa Cruz for 50 years.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether it's excellent. You know, the planet keeps turning, so there's no choice. I know you could move somewhere else, right? And I'm from Australia originally, and the few times I return home for see family and friends, they do ask, why are you living over there? Why don't you come back here? But anyway, this is my community now.
Yeah.
And I worked for 30 years on the UCSC campus as Director of Rape Prevention Education. I founded the program. It was a system-wide program, and actually the appreciation should go to a woman named Maria Sokovic, who got the program going on all of the campuses, and I was very fortunate to be hired to occupy the position at UCSC.
Nice.
So for 30 years, it was an educational program as well as helping students who had ever been raped. And it was a good experience in how to deal with those in power who don't want to deal with an issue, because now everybody knows that campuses, along with other parts of the community, have high incidences of rape. And those years, though, it was assumed that no such things didn't happen at a university. So it was challenging because the administration basically would like to have buried the issue. And I used to tell the students who worked with me, because I had a big group of peer educators, that don't use an acronym. You say it's rape prevention education.
Yeah.
And because saying that is a political act, because for thousands of years the issue of rape, predominantly of women, men do get raped, but the most, 91% of those who were raped are women, and 98% of those who commit rape are men. And so you can't bury the issue. But they tried their best to bury it. And when I did finally leave in, a few years ago now, after 30 years, they very quickly buried the name. And now it's submerged onto something called CARE. And the R doesn't stand for rape.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I did that for 30 years, but I've always been active in local politics, mostly City of Santa Cruz politics. I'm a big lover of our beautiful trees, and I've been very sad to see over the 50 years so many of our beautiful heritage trees, as we give them that status, have been cut down.
Yeah.
Frequently, I think, without, sometimes there's very adequate reasons, sometimes there's not, so I've seen a lot of the latter. I've tried to save a few through the public process and have not been successful. Maybe one, I think I can think of two in 50 years. That's not a very good success rate. Anyway, so environmental issues greatly concern me, and social issues, environmental issues. So that's it in a nutshell. So
that's a big nutshell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully somebody doesn't have a nutcracker to crack that piece. In terms of this issue, and I'm not sure what you shared with your listeners, but jumping right into it, one needs a context for this issue.
Yeah.
And people might know that over the last, 5, maybe longer years, the state has increasingly taken away local control of land use issues, and particularly housing.
Yes.
Housing is now probably the number one issue in both of those who are looking for housing and those who are concerned about the high cost of housing. So it definitely is a huge issue. It has some interesting parts to it. The basic problem is the high cost of housing. But for some people, it's just housing. We need more housing. Well, we don't have much evidence or any evidence yet that building more and more reduces the price, because housing wasn't always the case, but housing now is probably number one in wealthy people's economic portfolios, investment portfolios, real estate. Real estate has risen to number one in what people invest in.
Interesting.
Which puts the artificial value, it's the same bit of dirt. The house I live in, my late husband paid $77,000 for it, and he worked as a maintenance worker, county parks, for 37 years, and in that level was able to afford a house. He saved up. It wasn't right away he could afford it. But working class people could afford a house in Santa Cruz in those years. So what has changed? I don't buy that it's simply supply and demand. I think that's very simplistic, and I think the demand now that Santa Cruz is sort of on the map, and people who don't live here realised, that's a nice place to live.
Very nice.
We've got a university that's... When I worked there, I started there with 5,000 students. There are now 20,000 students, and it's growing.
Yeah.
And then we have Silicon Valley, so we're sort of between those two pincers. And now that people can work from home in high tech, the pressures are on. So I think the demand is pretty unlimited, and you can keep building and building and building, and the price won't go down enough so that people like my late husband, working class, could afford to buy a house. That's no longer the case. Yeah. People now buying houses in Santa Cruz are people with quite a bit of money, and that is raising as new residents. And I'm not, some of my neighbours, and they're lovely people. It's not the point. The point is that their incomes raise the area median income, and all the rents, and we're talking rents now, rental housing, because that's what people, are reduced to. Very few can afford to buy a home, and none of the new housing is for sale. It's all rental housing, because that's where the money's at.
Yeah.
The rents are out of sight. So understand why housing is of the top concern. So the state has taken over because I call it a myth, And it's put forward by groups like YIMBY, Yes in My Backyard, very influential group, with a lot of money, a lot of backing, a lot of power, a lot of political influence. I actually think their name is a misnomer. I think it should be Yes in Your Backyard.
Yes, I agree with you.
Right. And then the disparaging comment like NIMBYs are people who should shut up because they're just, people who've got theirs don't want anyone else in. I think that's unfair, and I think both of those names are misplaced. But anyway, point is that the state has taken over largely, not 100%, but moving in that direction, largely taken over the power for communities to make decisions about how much housing will be built and the rents. And they've totally narrowed the discretion of local communities to have a say in it. Yeah. So that's the big context. And I think quite a few people in Santa Cruz haven't woken up to that yet. And that's why I understand when people go to City Council and the mayor and the council members say, our hands are tied. Yeah. Go talk to the state people. Our state representatives. Yes, there's a reality there. But what I would say is, well, you're our representatives. Yeah. You're the ones who should be launching the effort to put up a few guardrails around our local control. And I don't see that happening.
I don't see that at all.
So I think in many ways that those in electoral power and certainly the departments that they direct, like planning department, are favouring this growth, whether they've bought the myth that just build more will lower the prices, or if they think that, well, we just passed Measure C, we've got money to build, quote, affordable housing. But we have to look into what that label means.
Yes.
I don't see our local officials pushing back at all, and some communities are. So, to switch to the topic at hand, this overlay district. What is it? Why is it there? What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
First of all, why is it what is? It's our planning department has proposed a huge area of Santa Cruz to be on what they call an affordable housing overlay district, and they've chosen every part of the city of Santa Cruz which is zoned as multifamily mixed use. And that predominantly is downtown and the east side. There's some areas of the west side, but west side, a lot of it is, although there's really no meaning in single family anymore, because you can build 8 houses on a single family lot, but it's zoned single family. So that is not included in this map. And this is one time when I wish it was visual, not radio,
yes.
because the map is quite frightening in its scale.
I looked for that.
So this whole zone, which hugely impacts the east side, the proposal from city staff is to end public hearings.
That's bad news.
And end protection for heritage trees.
That's really bad news.
It is very bad news. Here's their rationale. Because the state, first of all, the state wants this to happen because they want to remove any, any barriers to the developers of affordable housing to do their projects. And they see public hearings as a barrier. And so it's true, it slows the process down. Democracy is slower than autocracy. However, I think we prefer the former to the latter.
Indeed.
So getting rid of, and when I say public hearings, I mean before planning commissions and city council. There will be a community meeting right at the outset, but that's a Zoom meeting, and that has no power. It's sort of a
meet and greet.
Meet and greet.
Check off the box.
Right. And but the public hearings, the rationale
connected
back
as
to
the host.
point. The
Just a
rationale,
moment.
Welcome,
Hold
host.
on.
sorry.
You are
I
now
had to
in the host
reconnect
room
my
and can manage your
call-in
callers from the
Oh.
call-in
thing.
studio
It
web
dropped,
interface.
and so there's something
Audio
speaking over you
recording
right
is
now. Just a
on.
moment.
Is
I'm
there?
sorry.
Channel.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now I think we're reconnected.
Are we all good?
Yes, I think we're good.
Okay.
So I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
no, and
Thank
do
you.
interrupt, because obviously I have a lot to say, and
It's-
if it's getting too much or I'm
No,
not
this
being
is great.
clear.
Thank you.
So by getting rid of the public hearings, it smooths the process. Now, and so for 100% of, only for 100% affordable housing. So, I'm a stickler for accuracy.
Yeah.
I get very impatient with some in the progressive community who exaggerate or say things that aren't quite accurate, because all you're doing is giving openings for people who oppose you
Yeah.
to make their point and make you look foolish.
Right.
So let's be clear. This is only for 100% affordable housing projects that will come down the pike in the future. But what is 100% affordable in our city planning staff's opinion? It is, in their staff report, this has already gone through the Planning Commission and it was approved on a 4-2 vote. One member was absent. It will be affordable in Santa Cruz in these new 100% affordable projects with no public hearings will be people who make $111,500 salary, one person a year. That is at the moderate level. That's set by the state. And it's based on your area median income. My point before that the more wealthy people who are coming into town raise that, so the median level gets raised, etc. That's a 6-figure salary. Yes.
Let me just interrupt that. I have heard many developers say that creating housing for the low and very low incomes just doesn't pencil out. So they're not going to include affordable in that realm. Is that?
Yeah, that's a bit of a different issue, because we're talking now about 100% affordable. Forget what the word affordable means.
Okay.
No market rate. Okay.
Yeah.
Another project next door to that could be a market rate project, which is then required to offer a certain percentage of below market rate, which could be low, very low, extremely low, or moderate. Any of those levels. And so, but that turns out to be about 11-12% of the total.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've got 100 units, you've got 12 of them will be at that level. That is different from this overlay zone, which only applies to a project, let's say it's 200 units, all of which will be at this, quote, affordable level. Okay. So that's an important distinction. Now, those, the other ones that offer a small percentage, they can get waivers and density bonuses. They can go up to 80 feet.
80 feet.
Yeah, as can these. These 100% affordable can be 80 feet with very little setbacks. So we're talking about very big projects.
Yeah.
Now, in this green overlay zone, especially on the east side, this goes right into the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And you might ask yourself, well, how could a developer, I live on a street and they're all little single-family homes, how could a developer build one of these big 80 feet things? Well, I'll tell you how.
Yeah.
Because as people sell their homes, they die and it goes on the market. The developers are watching Santa Cruz, and a developer can and has, it happened on Mission Street, can buy up 5 or 6, as it can come on the market, of these single-family homes, bulldoze them down and go to planning and say, I want to build 100% affordable 8-story, 9-story, whatever, housing, and it'll all be affordable. And if this plan put forward by staff, it's not directed from council yet, it's put forward by staff, it's already gone through the planning commission, as I said, approved, then if it goes ahead, that could be really nestled into a neighbourhood on the east side, because if you look at that map of the green zone, it's not just along the major corridors, it's deep into neighbourhoods. And you could have a huge project next to you. The affordable part, again, because our staff is saying we want moderate income to qualify as affordable, that's allowed. However, so that could happen. Let me just contrast that with what other communities are doing.
Can you give, just for our listeners who may not have seen this map, can you just give a general description of the general boundaries over on the east side? And
I think it'd be much better if they go and look at the map. Okay. I mean, it's almost, it looks like it's... For me, it looks like almost all of the east side.
I know.
Because most of the east side is zoned as multifamily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not perhaps as you go north. Is that north? Yes. But certainly, down,
Along Soquel
and look
Avenue.
At, there's a petition people can sign. It's change.org, overlay district petition. Go and sign it. We've already got close to, I think it's 230 Santa Cruz residents who've signed it. It's mostly should be Santa Cruz residents. Yeah. It's not, others can sign it, but that, their voice is not as strong. And there's a map there which will show you visually is much more dramatic, but it looks to me like it's a huge percentage of the east side.
Yeah.
And all downtown. So here we have, the planning staff has also stepped over the bounds, I think, of common sense and also community sentiment, and has decided to add getting rid of the heritage tree ordinance protections. And many of our big trees, I think there's a lot more big trees, lovely big trees of stature on the east side than there is on the west side. I've been here 50 years. I mentioned before I've tried to save trees, and I've watched, I don't know the exact numbers, but hundreds and hundreds of heritage trees cut down on the west side. Yeah. And so we've still got a lot on the east side and a lot downtown. Well, all of them will be vulnerable if one of these projects goes ahead and is approved. It's up. If this plan goes ahead, remember it hasn't been approved yet, and I've got more on that in a minute. If it's approved, then not only would the heritage trees on the project site be vulnerable, but staff has added that if next door property, if the tree is within 10 feet of this project, that tree, even though it might be on your property, that will go too. Yeah. And so it's hard to, the logic is driven by state law, but the difference is some communities, and I'll give a couple of examples, and one, Los Angeles. Los Angeles has put a cap on the percentage of these affordable units that can be earmarked for moderate income earners. 20% cap. Our staff, in their staff report, they noted that, but said, no, we want 100% of these units to be available for moderate income earners. Wow. So that in LA, if they have this overlay district approved, 20% would be for moderate. Again, 100% affordable. We're not talking about other projects which are market rate. They're their own problems. But these ones, and 80% would be for low, very low, extremely low income. None would be market rate. Remember that. Yeah. So no community I've seen is getting rid of their protection for heritage trees. Yeah. So this is, in my opinion, and many others, overreach by the planning staff. Now, where are we with this? And it should concern everybody in the community. It's with the income level earmarked, the moderate at that level. Of course, some people earn that money, but it's not helping
Yeah.
The people we say we want to help.
Yes.
You know, the people who work in the restaurants, the people who clean the hotels, even teachers. You know, I don't think, I may be wrong, but does an individual teacher start at $111,000 a year? I don't think so. Some people do. So I'm not saying that those people are unimportant. No. It's who are we trying to help stay in Santa Cruz, like our workers who now commute from Watsonville and beyond,
and
well
beyond. Yes.
If we're trying to help them, this is not going to help them.
Right.
So where are we? Well, some of us pushed back on this proposal, and whether it was that, word got to City Council because it was supposed to be on next Tuesday's agenda, January 27th. That was at the Planning Commission when staff said, they gave their presentation, it was passed by Planning Commission, next step is City Council. And the decision has been made. I use the passive voice because I don't know who made the decision, but the decision has been made to postpone this item. Now, the word postpone is important because usually things are continued, and continued is like saying it's going to come back to us. Often it's continued to a specific date, you know, an item. This is postponed. So whether that means they're going to scrap it, I doubt that.
I doubt
but
that too.
The word is till the end of the year.
Oh, that's
that was just in an email from one council member. It may or may not be accurate. You know, there's no information coming.
And we should not let our guard down.
Oh, good heavens, no. No, we're still gathering signatures on the petition.
Excellent.
And I'd encourage people to go to that change.org overlay district petition. And if you agree to sign it, if you're live in the city of Santa Cruz or work in the city of Santa Cruz, you know, because this would affect you too.
And to share that information with others too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Going door to door. Some folks are going door to door gathering signatures on the petition. And even on the east side, people are not aware that this is happening. Now, I wrote a piece on this for Lookout, and I made note that even from the state level, their word was, make sure you do outreach to the community about this issue, that you're going to get rid of public hearings. Now, Heritage Tree, and that's not even being proposed from the state level. That's just a little, thing added locally by planning staff. They caution about doing a lot of outreach because this will be controversial, this getting rid of public hearings. Our staff did not do that. They held one Zoom meeting that was attended by 12 people.
Wow.
Then it went to the Planning Commission. And there were 4 of us there who spoke against it. And we're outnumbered by the YIMBY people who are all for it. Yeah. Anything that makes it easier for developers to build. Yeah. So let me pause there because that's a lot of information. But I think I've covered most of the important stuff.
It's incredible, Gillian. And again, for those of you that have just tuned in, you're thank you. We're joined here with by Gillian Greensite, talking with us about the proposed, not yet approved, affordable, 100% affordable housing overlay ministerial approval district that would also make it easier to cut down lovely heritage trees. Now, the question I have as you're saying this is, what about the California Environmental Quality Act?
Oh, that's long gone. Infill development has not been subject to CEQA for quite a few years. I mean, the state laws, I don't know who has the time, unless you're in the development business or city staff, to read all of the bills that have gone through our state legislature. And our representatives, John Laird, signed yes to the last one, 79, Senate Bill 79, which, allows these 8-story buildings by right within a 1.5 mile of a transit stop. And now that the amendments made it, narrowed that a bit. It may not apply to Santa Cruz yet. And Gail Pellerin abstained, which is the equivalent of a yes vote, really, because I think it passed by one vote. If she'd voted no, so on. Yeah. What was the question? I got sidetracked.
How does this comport with the intent of the California Environmental Quality Act, which is all about
state
public
law? No,
participation.
SEQA's long gone.
So that's all gone.
SEQA's long gone. That vote was, I think, it was this past year.
Yes.
And even before then, I appealed one development because but their traffic study, it's right now down, it's on Centre Street.
Yes.
Main artery to the beach by tourists, etc. And the traffic study studied traffic on weekdays only.
Yeah.
And that's absurd.
It is.
That should be caught by staff. It shouldn't be up to community members to remind staff of their job. They're public servants.
Exactly.
And although they're squeezed by the state legislation, they should be seeing that as a difficult balancing act, but not just unbalancing it towards the developers. So in that example, it hasn't yet been built. I think they're waiting for interest rates to go down. It's on Centre Street. It's where that body shop was. And
down in the south of Laurel.
Well, it's not part of, it is in that area, but this is way before the South of Laurel project or extension was approved. But in that case, the CEQA didn't apply. So CEQA hasn't applied for a number of years. So we can't do much with CEQA. Now, to be fair, in the narrow coastal zone, there's a coastal permit required. So any properties that are within that zone will require a public hearing. But it's a very narrow area. Because the Coastal Commission gets involved. But I'm not going to put a percentage on it, but it's a very small percentage of what we're talking about.
Certainly none of the east side property
Well,
areas.
no, some are. Some of those are in, some of the east side is in the coastal zone. Yes, it is.
Okay.
You've got to look at a map, yeah.
I've got it. I've lost my call-in function here again, so we're going to try this again.
You are connected as the host. Welcome,
do you want to
host.
accept
You are now in the
callers?
host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web
That'd be
interface.
great.
Audio recording is on. Dual
And
channel.
I don't mind opposition. I'm happy to take that.
I think respectful discussion is always good.
Yeah.
And we all learn from each other. So, my apologies to the audience. If you have been trying to call in, the application keeps dropping for some reason this afternoon. So call in now. It's ready for you. The number to call is 831-265-5050. Call in and join the conversation here with Gillian Greensite and what is being proposed for approval by the Santa Cruz City Council that will affect a very large area of Santa Cruz City that would eliminate public hearings on 100% affordable housing projects. These could be very tall structures.
Oh, they'd be big. Yeah, we're not talking, well, probably not. Yeah.
So,
could I just talk a minute about?
Yes, please, and I'll just watch. I don't see anyone calling in. Folks, call in if you want to join.
As I say, the rationale from staff and one council member so far, is that, well, why have public hearings when there's nothing that can change of the project because of state law? State law is very rigid. You can't say this is too big for my my community. Doesn't apply anymore. I don't like the look of it. It's not a nice design. Doesn't apply anymore. So why have a public hearing when state law has made it rigid that this has to be approved at the size, the scale, and the number of units? And that's quite a persuasive argument. The argument against, and they add, it sets the public up to be disappointed or outraged. It's a waste of staff time because nothing can be changed at the public hearing. Okay, response to that. Well, no, it's a reasonable argument if it were true. If it were true and if it was the only issue.
If it were true, yeah.
Well, first of all, there have been some changes at the public hearings to these. They're not always 100% affordable. We're not there yet. The overlay hasn't been passed. I'm just talking about the big projects that have popped up. You know, we've seen them.
We see them in downtown Santa Cruz.
People should go and look at the significant projects page of the City Planning Department.
Yes.
It's 5 pages of projects that are coming down the pike. Okay.
Yes.
And so there have been some. They're not what everybody would love to change because that has been shrunk. But there have been some changes at those hearings. So, you know, they can't just say nothing. This, you know, there is a tiny bit of local discretion. So you would be getting rid of all of that. But I think there's another factor to this. And staff, I don't think, get this. And I don't know how council, whether they get it. But even if there's very little change that could be made, I think our public representatives and our public servants should hear the voice of the public if they're pissed off with what's being imposed by the state on our communities.
Absolutely.
And let our voices be heard. I don't see that as a waste of time.
No.
I think that's otherwise you're saying you disagree, but we don't want to hear from you because there's nothing we can do anyway. It's our voice to let people know in Sacramento through our local electeds that we're not happy with the way things are going, that it's destroying a lot about livability and everything that we hold dear about Santa Cruz.
Yes.
And if people, and you know, Yimby's argument is, so you're here, you got yours, you don't care about the people coming in. Well, frankly, if you use that argument, you'd lose our green belts.
Exactly.
Because it's people who have lived here up till now who did the hard work to save the green belt so you can go and enjoy it on your mountain bike. And who saved things offshore oil. And so we preserved it for future generations. I don't buy the argument that, the new people who are coming in, they want it different. So you people who've been here for 50 years, shut up. I mean, you can argue that way, but it doesn't hold much water. If we'd preserved a livable community, we haven't been able to preserve affordability because that's out of our hands. That's in the hands of speculators and developers and people who have 2 or 3 houses. And growth, university growth has contributed to that. 1/3 of the town is UCSC students. So on and on and on. But that idea that public hearings are useless because nothing can change, I think misses the point of democracy.
Yes,
and we hear that at the federal level. And sometimes I think the only difference between the federal level and our local level is a matter of scale.
Yes. Well said, Gillian. Well said.
But let's people not forget that there is, if they were thinking of, which would be lovely if it were happening, the meeting on Tuesday of going and saying something, because we can't have 4 people like we did at the Planning Commission. Right. But people didn't know about the issue then. Yeah. When I say people, I mean the public. Yeah. Now more people know about it. But the meeting has been the item has been postponed. Very good. What can you do? Well, I would suggest one thing is to sign the petition at change.org. what's it called again? Overlay district petition. You can find that. And also, I know people are very busy and sometimes they don't even want to get involved, but we now have districts and we have elected people representing a district. Sometimes it's hard to know, who's my person? I don't know. Well, you can look it up online at the city website, find out who is your city council member. Contact them, send them an email. Get a few of your neighbours together and say you'd like to meet with your city council representative.
Meet with them.
Yeah, meet with them. So that's two things that people can do. It's more ambitious to contact or get involved at the state level. Frankly, I think that's the job of our city council.
I agree.
There's something called the League of California Cities. Has our mayor or city council members gone to that and made connections with other cities? Because some other cities are fighting back.
Yes, they are.
On behalf of their communities.
Yes.
I don't see ours doing that. They say they've done something, but I haven't seen a headline. I haven't seen a posting when the mayor gives, how well we've done the past year. I didn't see any mention of pushing back at the state level. And anyway, I'll pause there. There might be someone calling in, or you might have a question or
no one is calling in yet, but if you're out there listening and want to join the conversation, we've got about 10 minutes left. Please call in and join our discussion. 831-265-5050. So that would be a very good question to ask our representatives. Are you talking with others? You say your hands are tied, you say you don't like it. What are you doing to fight back?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I agree with you completely that removing public meetings, public hearings on projects is removing the democratic process of our community here. I've always felt that local government is the most responsive level of government because you can.
Yes.
You're right there, and they're in our community. Even though this item has been removed from action. Postponed, yes. I looked at it. It said it is continued to future and will not be discussed, is what it says on the agenda. At least the version I saw.
They must have changed it because it said postponed. The item has been postponed and will not be discussed.
This is item 18. It was going to be a public hearing, but that still means since it's still on the agenda, we can still speak to it. Isn't that true?
No, it's not. No, you can speak to it at oral communications.
Okay.
No, it's not on. It virtually is not on the agenda.
Well, I saw it.
What?
I saw it. Item 18, and maybe it was I don't know. I looked it up from the library right before coming here. So,
we need to check that because I noticed that it said postponed.
Okay.
It didn't say continued because continued. I didn't read that. I'm open to having made a mistake, but we should. But it's not a huge point. But no, it wouldn't be discussed. I don't think that would be fruitful, frankly, to go and battle to be able to speak to it.
But during open public comment?
Oral communications, since it's not ostensibly on the agenda, could be a time to do it, yes.
And you've mentioned that there have been some small issues changes to projects that have come about as a result of public comment. Talk with us a little bit about those and how people can best approach the council to implement change, to affect
What,
change.
You mean change to a project?
Yes.
Well, again, I would agree with council on this. State laws, housing laws, have made any change almost impossible. The changes that people want, they don't want 8 stories 1 foot from their little house. You're not going to get that significantly changed. Sorry, state law. So you got to fight at the state level. But the smaller, and to be fair, some changes have been earlier in the process, before public hearings. And that's what they are retaining, that community meeting, the Zoom meeting with the developer before there's even a plan. So that's a place, and the staff thinks that's sufficient. They actually say it's even more effective because it's before the project is developed. Once the project is I don't mean built.
Yeah,
I mean, once it's plans on paper, it's harder to make a change. They've got a point there. However, it doesn't really mean that at that earlier meeting that the developer will listen to the change, because most people, they want the big change. They don't want it that high. They don't want it that big. But balconies, maybe the developer could put the balconies on the other side of the building. So I'm not saying that there's no value in that first community meeting, but it should be added to the public hearing. So your question was related to what changes have happened at the public hearing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give one example, was there's a development on Mission Street. There's some 3 or 4 little single-family homes, little tiny ones, going towards outside of town. You know, it's on that edge of Mission Street. And what's that? West, I guess, really. Well, they're all being demolished. They've already got fencing around it, and there's going to be, I think it's an 80-foot tall, I may be wrong, 6 or 8 story project. Well, that's going to happen all over. I mean, if you think it's bad now, this is just the start.
I've looked at that project, 5 pages of projects in
the developer, to the developer's credit, and staff arrived, the developer from the beginning has made some changes to accommodate the neighbours, put the balconies somewhere else. Of course, it's not going to be lower,
right?
Or it's not going to take up less room. That's sort of what the developer wants, and state law, you can't reduce the number of units. But there was a safety question because there's a Starbucks there on a side street, and there's a safety issue with delivery trucks to Starbucks, delivery trucks to this new project, because, you know, if there's, I don't know how many units are in it, so I won't misquote, but a lot of people get stuff delivered with Amazon, so there'll be a lot of deliveries. Well, one member of the community representing that little neighbourhood, they appealed it. You won't be able to appeal if there's no public hearings. You can't appeal from the original meeting. You have to only legally, you can appeal from from the planning commission to the city council. So they appealed from the planning commission that approved it and didn't address the safety issue of the Starbucks deliveries, because the neighbours were asking for some, way to accommodate the deliveries. When it went to council, I think I'm right here. Maybe it was, no, I think it had to go to council. It did, because the neighbours appealed, and you could only really appeal from planning to council. And there was accommodations made at that level. Now, it wasn't so much from the developer. It was more from what would the city do to remove this bottleneck and danger, actually,
liability
from that. It was a safety issue, which, of course, you can address. That could not have happened without public hearings.
Yeah.
So that's one example. But again, people shouldn't get their hopes up. You're not going to scale down an 80-foot building to 20 feet. Yeah. And you're not going to reduce, if it's going to be 1 foot from your property line and you have a lovely tree 2 feet in, that tree will go. And we're forgetting this part about the heritage trees. And I noticed at the Planning Commission meeting I attended, I was one of the 4 who spoke, staff didn't mention the part of this proposal which guts the heritage tree ordinance.
No.
They just did not mention it. It was one line on one of their PowerPoints. So I made a point of saying there's two issues here. One is eliminating public hearings and the appeal, right of appeal, and the other is gutting the heritage tree ordinance. And in that, the heritage tree part of it is this, that if it's on a next door property, they can make you take your tree down. I mean, there's a level to me here of disconnect on the part of staff with the community.
Yes.
I don't think the community, even those who are all for housing, I'll sort of end with this.
Yeah.
The Yimby folks, and a lot of other people, not just them, they're good folks. They're fond of saying that we've built no housing in Santa Cruz for the past 50 years and we're playing catch up. And I know you don't like these 8-story buildings or 11-story buildings because we're not stopping at 8. But it's catch up for our lack of building any housing in the last 50 years. Well, I've been here 50 years and I'm going to try and get numbers from the county. But it is simply untrue to say we've built nothing in 50 years. We actually have built quite a bit of housing. Why you haven't really noticed it, unless you're a person who has moved into that housing, is because it's been done thoughtfully, somewhat, at a pace where it can be absorbed, in the infrastructure can take care of it.
Right.
And it's a bit like climate change. The reason we're in a climate crisis is not because there has never been any change in the climate. The climate has always changed. It's just been at a pace that there can be adaptation to it.
Yeah.
And now it's happening so fast that it's all chaos. Well, the same with this housing building frenzy. It's not that we haven't built in the past. It's that the pace, the scale, the thoughtfulness has meant that it can be accommodated without overwhelming the carrying capacity, the infrastructure. Yeah. And that's been thrown out of the window. So I challenge those who say, well, there's no building, therefore, you just got to put up with this. No. This is out of control, and I hope others will realise that, keep their eyes open, go to that petition and sign it, and be prepared to get involved if or when it comes back.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are off the air, but this is still being recorded. So the recording that I post on the webpage will include our discussion right now. And I just want to point out that I did not see any resolution or any action on next Tuesday's Santa Cruz City Council meeting about workforce housing.
Nothing.
There's nothing.
Nothing. Is this recorded or off?
This is recording.
No, well, good, because I was going to swear. Now I know. No, I'm outraged.
Yes,
I feel like I've been taken for a ride.
Yes,
they did that before the vote on Measure C.
Yes,
to blunt criticism.
Yes,
including from yours truly. And they had a resolution that would put mechanisms in place to ensure that
gave the appearance,
and now they have nothing. Not only that, I won't name names, but I've talked to people prominent in Measure C and the housing activists, and they're being ghosted by the council members who brought this forward.
Oh,
no response.
Oh my,
no response. I'm appalled.
It is unacceptable.
It is talk. I'm usually. I don't buy this when they call the council, fascists or blah, blah, blah. I don't go there.
Yeah.
I like to stick to the facts.
Yeah.
But to me, this is a violation of trust.
Absolutely.
and
accountability.
Well, words fail me as to how bad I think this is.
Yeah.
We were taken for a ride.
So we need to go next Tuesday to the Santa Cruz City Council meeting and let them know our thoughts on this. Gillian, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Becky,
you so
very
much.
Yes, and I probably was a bit hyperactive because getting here.
I'm so sorry.
That was quite something. But yeah, I'm glad I almost. And how would I call you to say I don't know where I am, but I'm not going to be able to be there?
Because your phone was off.
No, my phone would have worked.
Oh, it was the. Oh, okay.
It's the maps.
Oh, okay.
Google Maps, and which usually says turn left here.
Yeah.
No sound.
Oh, dear.
And I checked all the settings.
Yeah.
I put what I thought volume up to maximum. Nothing.
Oh dear.
Do you know they're building a lot of stuff in? I was up in the hills, up Glenwood Drive.
Oh.
Off Glenwood Drive. hundreds of houses being built there.
I will have to take a look.
Yeah, it's
No.
you go up a road because this thing was saying angles and it's all pitted. You can barely drive on it. And on your left, hundreds of new, quite big houses being built.
Wow.
It's not like 80-foot units. These are single-family houses. Yeah.
I'll take a look.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
Becky.
much.
You've got another hour.
Yes, I've
Yes.
got someone I've got to connect here. I'm going to say goodbye to you.
Yes, definitely.
And this is for you. Thank you
You're
so
so
much.
kind. You're so thoughtful. And I will see you.
Thank you.
Becky.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yep.
Take
I'll
care
see
of
you
yourself.
Monday.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a bathroom?
Yes, if you go back to the main hall and go to your right. Yes. Hello, welcome back to Community Matters. This is your host, Becky Steinbrunner, and thank you for joining me for the second hour now. I'm going to bring on my guests. Let's see. I'll bring them both on and see if we make sure we've got connection. The first I'm going to bring on is Jim Wason. Hello, Jim, can you hear me?
Hi, Becky. Yes, I can.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to bring on the other guest just so he's in the wings. I've been having trouble with losing connection here, so stand by just a moment. Hello, Ed, can you hear me?
Yes, Becky, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to ask you just to wait in the wings. I've got Jim Wason here that's going to talk for a little bit about ham radio and winter field day, and then we'll hand the floor to you. So thank you both very much. For those of you listening, I have with me for the first few minutes here Jim Wason, who is a ham radio operator, the vice president of the Santa Cruz County Amateur Radio Club, and is very involved in amateur radio emergency communication. There's a big event happening tomorrow. And Jim, thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm Jim, KN6NCG, and Santa Cruz County and San Lorenzo Valley Amateur Radio Clubs are hosting Winter Field Day tomorrow. This is an annual event that takes place at the last full weekend of January. And what we do is we go out into the field and we set up stations and we practice operating our radios, trying to make as many contacts around the world as we can, and also to demonstrate the art of amateur radio. So I am inviting everybody to come to the Sheriff's Posse House. Now that is Sheriff's Mounted Posse House. That's down Ocean Street Extension. And 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we are inviting the public to come and see what we do and maybe get on the air yourself and make a contact.
Thank you. And for those who are maybe not familiar how to get to Ocean Street Extension, it's a little tricky. Do you want to give them a few pointers on navigation, Jim?
Well, you're headed up Graham Hill Road from Denny's and Ocean Street, and instead of going up the hill at the cemetery, take a left, and then just go nice and slowly down that road about a third of a mile. And the Posse House is on the left-hand side. There's a white rail fence, and just go to the second gate and come on in, park in the designated spots, come on inside. We'll be having educational sessions inside. There'll be stations set up outside all around in the fields, and just make your way around, and people are going to be more than happy to show you exactly what they do and all the magic of radio.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's important that people understand that amateur radio is a very effective means of communication in emergencies, such as what our next guest, Ed Mitchell, will be talking about, the Moss Landing battery fire. It's a way you can get real-time information from boots on the ground people out there seeing things. And there is a requirement that you pass a test. Jim, is there going to be any opportunity for people to get information about getting their license?
I don't have that handy, but coming up in February, there is going to be classes for you to get your technician, which is the first license that you get. And so if they were to, in February, I believe is going to be the classes for 6 weeks and then testing after that.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your good service to the public. I know you were very involved in the recent search and rescue for the lost person up in Bonnie Doon. Many radio operators were in that difficult area for communication. And we all know that in an emergency, cell service goes down. So ham radio is there. Is there anything else you'd like to leave with our listeners?
No, but emergency communications is important. But quite frankly, we have a pandemic going on in this country with loneliness. If you have a ham radio, you will never be lonely. Mm-hmm. There's always somebody there to talk to. There's so many features of amateur radio that you can pick and choose whatever you like to do. So please come out tomorrow to the Sheriff's Mounted Posse House at 10 to 5 o'clock, and we'll show you all about the magic of radio.
Excellent. Jim Wason, thank you very much. I appreciate all you're doing, and give my thanks to all those who are setting up antennas in the stations now. We'll see you tomorrow.
We are 73.
All right, 73. And for those of you listening, 73 is the greeting for amateur radio. It goes back to Morse code. That means goodbye and good luck. So thank you. All right, now, Ed, can you still hear me?
I certainly can.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your waiting and patiently in the wings there. This technology has been dropping a lot here in the first hour, so I wanted to make sure I brought you on and got a steady connection. Thank you very much. For those of you listening, my guest here now is Ed Mitchell from Never Again Moss Landing. Ed has been tirelessly working with many in the Moss Landing community to probe for answers. What happened? What is happening? And Ed, I'm going to hand the floor to you. Please introduce yourself and talk with us a bit about what you are doing and what people need to know.
Thank you. I'm the lead. I volunteered to be the lead investigator for our community group, which is a stakeholder group, not because we wanted to be, but we were downwind from the fire.
Yeah.
And there's people that showing symptoms and properties that have had animals die on, businesses that had to be closed. Immediately after the fire, our group formed together over at Prunedale Grange and started, first our outreach was to gather the questions and concerns of the local people in North County and pass that on to the Board of Supervisors. We did that, and we decided very quickly that we were going to conduct our own investigation because we didn't want to wait. Like for now, it's been a year. The regulator of public utilities, California Public Utility Commission, is nowhere to be seen, is absent from any communications with the public. And so we, unfortunately, were right that type of behavior was going to occur. So we did our own investigation, and there was more than just me. There was a couple other people. One was a former EPA field specialist, and another one was a heavy metals biology lab expert. So what came out right away was there was two things that we were starting to see about why and how did the fire occur. Mm-hmm. One was facts about what the operator did, and the bottom line of that was they built a fire hazard.
Yeah.
But we didn't have sufficient information in the very first weeks to say that, but we knew that there was a problem with storage. The suppression system did not work. It did not suppress. The containment system did not contain. So that was one half of what we saw. The other was regulator problems, failures. For example, the PUC never issued when Vistra went into requesting and then building their facility. The PUC basically backed away and let them self-police themselves.
Yeah.
That self-policing led to the largest BESS facility burning down.
Yeah.
Their facility, built by the biggest electrical energy generation company in America. The PUC had not issued any regulation for indoor storage. For example, spacing, can you stack batteries 5 stories high? There was none of that. Also in their existing regulations, the word thermal runaway doesn't show up. In fact, we and the main founder of Never Again Moss Landing, which is Tanya Rivera, she and I stood in front of the PUC on 13 March requesting that they add that phrase in the paragraphs that deal with safety about fires. They didn't do it.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what we went off to do. Let me summarize the claim that I made at the beginning, that they built a fire hazard. They, when I first got into this, I thought they would lay out, we went and hunted down pictures. We were able to get photographic proof from Vistra Pictures, the Iraq supplier, which is LG Energy, and from PG&E Tesla, that they weren't involved in the fire, but their outdoor megapack represents an alternative way to do storage. That's the Tesla side of the house did outdoor storage, and Vistra and their CEO was very happy to say they were the first to do this size and level of grid level indoor storage. What they did was take these racks that hold the battery module and put them shoulder to shoulder and made a row 30 feet long of 9 batteries, shoulder to shoulder. And their supplier of racks came to them and showed them that they had made and tested a way to stack another row unit on top of the first one. That way you could get more batteries into the building. And so that was double stacked. But then Vistra did something else. And it took me a while. Sometimes people call me Fast Eddie. Sometimes they call me Special Ed. And other times I'm Slow Eddie. Well, I was slow for a while. It took me some months to finally recognize that, my God, not only did they double stack, they took another double stack and put that back to back with the first one. So there was 4 row units in a very tight space. In fact, it's what I call a zero separation island.
Yeah.
So they had 36 racks, shoulder to shoulder, double stacked, double backed. Now, when we got the dimensions of the rack, which was the TR 1300, and got it measurements. The width of the island was 7.83 feet, but we didn't know the aisle width. But by doing a little math and knowing how much floor space they had to 720 feet to put in these islands, we came with calculation that there were 61 islands and each island was separated from each other by 3 feet 8 inches.
Oh my goodness.
Now, for the people, your fans that are listening, if you take your left arm and stick it out, fingers out, the distance from that fingertip to I'm putting out my left arm, to my right shoulder, that'll give you a feeling how close these islands were to each other.
Yeah.
And we have pictures. We have pictures of Vistra employees standing in that narrow space. So what that does, it safety in these storage areas, distance, separation distance, is the key factor.
Yes.
What we found that Vistra's, they had half the separation distance, their aisles, the outside storage people between their rows of batteries and their megapack part were 8 feet apart, not 3 feet 8 inches.
Mm-hmm.
The Vistra had half the separation distance, and they were putting in 4 times as many batteries in one spot, touching each other. That creates a hazard.
And that
It increases the light.
That was all
Go ahead.
allowed. That was all allowed. How
Well-
could it have been allowed, Ed?
Well, I doubt we sent our findings in June and July out first to agencies and then later to the public. We wanted to give the agencies a chance to read what we had and maybe refute it if they wanted to. We came up with 22 questions for the regulator PUC. One of them was, tell the public what date and who was the person who signed off, inspected the drawing to be built, as built, and as actually walked the plant. I don't think they did that. That's where we get to the self-policing.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the truth. But we'll see what they say when the PUC ever shows up. In fact, the discourteousness of that group, when we sent them their findings, their copy of the findings, we sent to Panetta, Congressman, John Addis, fire chiefs, state fire chiefs, and let everybody know. You want to be transparent, we were. And but we never got a reply back from the PUC that they received a package. So then I sent another one, and we formally requested that, and we sent it to a different, instead of to the Safety Enforcement Division, which we believe is the one that's doing the investigation. We went to, you can find this on the website, to the PUC's public, what do they call it, public advisor. It's public, it's the doorway into the PUC.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked them to send the findings on to the head of the SED and to let us know they received this package. They never did that.
They did not respond?
So, no.
Wow.
You know, we're just a little public people. We're, you know, they don't have to talk to us. At least that's the way it came across.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about the PUC, the president of that organization never came out publicly and said anything about how they were going to go about doing an investigation or they were starting or anything.
But it was ordered by the governor, right? The governor himself.
Yeah, he ordered it, but that's their job anyway. But,
Yeah.
So that was fine. And the president didn't come out and say anything about what they were going to do. Like, for example, they could have, we were an entity that was saying, hey, the regulators didn't have any rules like double stacking, back-to-back, distance between aisles, things like, well, if you're going to build in a building of multi-floors, you need to have what's known as fire stop between the floor and down below in the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And fire stopping can hold back a fire for 1 to 4 hours, depending on how you do it. And it will not let gas or fumes get down, or water.
Yeah.
Now, the suppression system that's used a lot in these system storage areas is water. And so Vistra had an early on incident in 2022, and it was in 2021. There was what we call smoke and suppression. It got their sensors got triggered from outside smoke blew in, and through the AI. I don't think it was AI. The software was built to go, if I smell smoke, I will sprinkle water and will suppress. Well, that process, they lost 17,000 batteries, but they also, in the findings from the PUC and the report from Vistra, water ran down from the third floor to the first floor because they weren't built like with fire stop to separate. So there was no, so with common sense, Smokey the Deer would recognize how this works. You got a whole bunch of batteries that can go on fire on the upper floor, and you're going to spray water to stop them. Don't you think you need a drainage system that drains that water outside the wall somehow,
Right.
and not down to the bottom floor? No, they didn't do that.
Oh my God.
That's why that earlier incident, they lost batteries on the third floor and the lower floor. So one thing that PUC could have done, I believe I would have done it if I was the president, would be, we're going to run an investigation that looks at the technical aspects of how the operator stored and how they prepared for suppression and what the fire incident was. And we're also going to look and see if the regulators, ourselves and others, could have done a better job. Well, you never heard that. So we're sitting in a scenario where this 61 island, densely packed, 50,000 batteries laid out on one floor with narrow separation is a fire hazard that we said was prone to threaten. If one battery went into thermal runaway, it was prone to threaten all the batteries on the floor, and it could burn down the whole building.
Yes.
Guess what? That's what happened.
That's what happened.
Now, what we don't know, and here's some interesting things we haven't got, is what was the ignition event?
Yeah.
And we're hearing a number of statements that just recently, letters to the editor by Vistra reps, that they're interested in finding out what the cause of the fire was, but they're not going to know that until everything's cleaned up.
I don't believe that.
Well, and I thank you for that. Here's some of the things I think they do know and should be coming out to the public. What was going on in that huge storage building that day? What was scheduled to be done? What operations were ongoing? Was it routine, just like we've been doing day after day, or was there something else that happened? And why did the LG or the TR 1300 racks that were supposed to be able to stop themselves from going into thermal runaway, what happened? Why didn't that work?
Yeah, why
they were
didn't
supposedly
that work?
tested. And how fast did it spread? Because of these islands where you had burning, you had someplace you wound up with a burning rack, and it had to be shoulder to shoulder, butt to butt, top to bottom, and you had no separation distance.
Yeah.
So what were the events going on that day? Where was what floor did it start in? What row? Because they have telemetry, or they're supposed to,
Yes.
typically. they have telemetry so that they can sense if there's something going wrong in a module. Is it getting too warm? Is it getting too less energy dropping for some reason? And anomalies. They report the anomalies. They should have that in the command and control room.
You mentioned this piece of information at Saturday's Never Again Moss Landing meeting at the Hot Enchilada. It was a very good event, and thank you for speaking there. So there is a central command center somewhere that's monitoring the physical, electrical condition of these battery units. Did I hear you just right on that?
Yep, that's what they have of some sort. I've not walked through it. They also have what's known as CC, closed circuit television, that gives them a visual of, and now in Vistra's condition, they did not have CCTV cameras that could cover all the spots on the floor.
Well, they're so close together. How could they?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when Fire Chief, Castroville Fire Chief Joe Mendoza arrived with his people and went in to link up with the Vistra folks, and they looked at the CCTV, they were able to see this rapidly spreading fire. Along the way, there was 2 explosions, and the fire. If you look at the pictures and evidence, you can see that there was no fire stop on the sidewalls or where smoke, water could go up and down. The installation section, a 33-foot wide spot where they had a crane where they drive in and drop off the racks. Racks would be moved into the first and the third floor. That area, as of the date of the grand opening in 2021, there was I think it's August 24th, 2021, that's the date, where the CEO from Vistra and had a grand opening, and then they did a tour, and there's a video of the tour. That video showed a 753 feet long from one wall to another. They had a guide that said from this point, 753 feet to the far wall.
Wow.
There were no intervening walls. In other pictures that show on the third floor, there are no fire stop rooms, no smaller rooms built with fire stop top, bottom, sides, because that would have taken away a lot of footprint.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at it this way. It appears that Vistra sacrificed safety for higher density of footprint.
Yes.
That means more dollars per square foot.
Yes.
That was the trade-off that happened. And but here's the downside of decisions like that. The damn thing burnt down. That means Vistra lost all the cost, the sunk cost of building the first building. They lost. They're going to lose about 2 years at least of revenue, which is about $1.3 billion a year. And if they rebuild, that would be another billion. So the design decision to do it the way they did bought them huge, multi-billion-dollar losses. Whereas if they'd segregated and put less batteries in the building and fire stopped them in smaller rooms, they might have only lost 1/3. Mm-hmm. That would have been a great savings to them. So,
what folly. What folly.
Yeah.
And the people who have been harmed as a result.
True. And let me talk about Never Again Moss Landing is not against storage. We're against dangerous storage.
Yes.
And we've shared that with other folks like us, you and others that are concerned about what's going to happen with the BESS storage in your county, Santa Cruz. We're 1 year into it, and there's no recommendations from anyone, agency, publicly, of fixes that should be done. I would.
That's incredible.
If I was the governor, I'd be calling up the PUC and people say, "Let's get to the fixes."
Yeah.
Okay. If
Yeah.
we want to have multi-story buildings, and we need to get safer, like the outdoor, and there's things that we could do to do that, and we could accomplish indoor storage. Fine, let's get to it.
Yeah.
But Never Again Moss Landing is the only entity that has done what I'm doing, totally transparent, stating what the evidence, where we got the evidence, what we believe the risks were, where it was going, risks were going up, where trade-offs were being made. And we have a list of just a short list right now of 9, we used as an example at that end of year briefing of 9 fixes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was none of this shoulder to shoulder, head to butt, back to back, double stacked, double packed. It's just too dense.
Yeah.
Just stop that. Let's get less footprint, more successful buildings, steady state safety. That's what we need.
Yeah. So I have a question. You have written, and others from Never Again Moss Landing have written letters to various EPA, public officials, the CPUC, the Public Utilities Commission regulation, and gotten no response. Has anyone filed Public Records Act requests to which these agencies must respond? Yes?
Yes, one of our members, she goes by Therma Runaway. She doesn't want, because of the job and where she works, she wants to be less visible. So that's a moniker for her. She did file a FOIA, F-O-I-A, in regards to the initial air sampling, in regards to 8 samples. And it took a long while to get an answer on that. I chose, as the lead investigator, to not go with FOIA. We went to the Environmental Protection Act requires the EPA to keep that the public is supposed to be kept informed and has the right to know.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that they carry that out. For example, our first meeting, June, it was 26th, we had with the EPA community involvement chief and the senior toxicologist, DTSC, and senior toxicologist in California. And I really appreciate that this doctor came down and sat with us and honestly answered questions. But we asked the EPA, we said, what the people want to know if you start cleanup is, are we going to get infected again because of dust and stuff? And what is the pollutant that's in the plant?
Yes.
We had 2, they said they'd look into it. They're still looking. We haven't heard.
Still looking into it. But Ed, how can they be shipping this stuff down our public roadways and not know what's in it? I think they do.
Okay.
They have to.
Let me get. Yes and yes. Let me answer that this way. 2 times we asked verbally. Twice we asked them in writing. The 2 in writing, we wanted the pollution profile and what their pollution characterization was, and specifically we wanted to know, as I said to the EPA rep the first time we met, we want to know what's in that black scar, 700 foot long, 50 feet wide, a black fire residue. And we put this request for characterization, pollution profile, 3 specific things, always requesting the measurement and sampling of the black fire residue. In their directive letter to the state and county, in their directive to the operator to do cleanup, they never told them to sample that black residue.
Really?
So what they have taken the position is that they're going to do the cleanup, and when they do the cleanup, they're going to do sampling. I don't know if rubble is going to be mixed with black residue to reduce the amount of concentration, but we're not going to get the results. They've ignored sending us an answer, verbally or writing. Their position is they're going to do the cleanup, and they'll be sampling as they go along, and they'll let us know later.
Wow.
We went to Vanetta and them, and we've asked different people to please reach out to, if our findings cause you to think there might be some need, would you please reach out and ask the EPA to answer the question about black residue, water sampling from the firefighting water, and any toxic air samples.
Yeah.
One good agency in California is California Water Quality Board.
Yes.
They have not been happy with Vistra and its water sampling. And another thing about when they do send out data, it's like the water data. Here's 3 pages of samples that were taken, and we're done.
Uh-huh.
Instead of saying, okay, here we took these samples, 98 of them were normal, and 2% weren't, and they are these, and these. And I'll color code so that you can see on the presentation what could be harmful to people. And anyway, they're a big entity. They're going to do it their way, and flies in the ointment, like never again Moss Landing, screw you. That's how it comes across. Anyway.
Yes. Well, and they hire consultants to do this work that have a reputation in other incidents like this for taking the data and spinning it in a way that it produces results that are acceptable to the developer. That's what it is. My guest last week, Scott Smith, talked a lot about that.
Yes, it's not uncommon to have happened before. It appears that it's happening again. DTSC, California Division of Toxic
Substance control.
Substance control, yes.
Yeah.
When Dr. Aiello from Moss Landing Marine Lab watched him after he'd been doing sampling and finding that there's, in the long run, he found there were 55,000 pounds of heavy metals from the plant that dumped onto Moss Landing. And he was watching the DTSC people doing their testing, or whoever was doing it for them, with them, dig down into the dirt where Aiello was saying these are small particles. At this time, they're on the surface. Watch the sample takers dig down in the dirt, like scoop up a
trowel. Like I think they went 3 to 4 inches deep.
Yeah, a trowel with the dirt, and he was saying that's going to dilute your findings.
Exactly.
Didn't matter. That's how they did it.
Exactly.
And
Dr. Aiello's study, they took the top 1 to 2 millimeters, and that's where the ash was.
Yeah. So overall, we have the big picture seems to be this, to me, that you have a state governor and agencies that are pushing for the battery storage to occur in California, and they're holding off from reporting bad things about when these fires occur.
Mm-hmm.
And they're lucky someone didn't get killed, truthfully. And that's when I look at Watsonville and the idea for the outdoor storage there, and the initial plan to place them very close to hospitals and high schools, and then tell you, well, we ran a test of a single battery burning and
Yeah.
the wind didn't blow it off site. It's that behavior. I mean, Smokey the Bear would say, hey, I've lived on the coast for a long time. We have winds in the morning and winds in the afternoon. And yeah, it would blow it off site. So your air sampling sucks. We don't accept it. Those type of shenanigans go on, and they just demonstrate got to be careful with these operators in order to protect the lives of people. And for since 2021, 8 different fires, and Vistra was one of them. The state agencies, state EPA, federal, have never went and sampled the plume that's blown out of these plants, and they showed up at Moss Landing with no drones that could fly up in the air and help first responders know the dangers, and secondly, drones to go up and just get damp, fly through a portion of the smoke and then come down and be tested, called a white sample. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
So they're putting people's lives, property, businesses at risk.
The EPA, when they did finally arrive, set up their air quality monitoring at ground level. We all saw that plume. That wasn't the contaminants were not at, well, there were some at ground level, but what moved out over the community was up in the air. Last week, Ed, Scott Smith helped me connect with someone named Robert from a company that is called Aspect. A-S as in Sam, P as in Paul, E-C T as in Tom, and he has an airplane that if EPA calls, his airplanes will go out and fly through these plumes of toxic contaminants, but he cannot self-activate. The EPA has to call him, and they didn't. And in times, I encourage you and the listeners to look up the government accountability material that Scott Smith and Robert Quirk just released, showing that the EPA, when they did send this out, they actually turned off the monitors. So those are the kind of things that are happening.
Yes, and we as there's a number of people who have lost trust with the EPA.
Yeah.
With other entities. Here's one, the Monterey Bay Air Quality District.
Yes.
And they had responsibility. They were the ones that were helping take those samples on the day of the fire, and it was good that they did that. They were looking to see if there was any poisons that were close to the ground and people had to really be moved out immediately. Fine. But then for the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21, and 22, the days after when the fire was continuing to burn and huge millions of cubic feet of smoke was flowing out and settling up in Prunedale, that group didn't go out and do any sampling up here. Well, I was driving over to the Grange and choking one time when I drove into some vapor and could see that there was low-hanging cloud that just wasn't normal. On San Miguel Canyon Road.
Yeah.
Now, there's people that are missing, organizations missing in action, doing shoddy work to dilute sampling. It causes you to start questioning any sampling that they do. And so, bottom line is, when the information comes together and shoes by the horse, I think Vistra's going to lose badly.
For those of you just joining us, we're talking with Mr. Ed Mitchell, the lead investigator with the fabulous grassroots group called Never Again Moss Landing. I urge you to look at that website. There's a lot of information. In addition to Dr. Ielo's work there's also the citizen science ghost wipe surface sampling that happened within 10 days after the fire, the people were out there taking the samples, well trained, very well trained by a professional, and sent to a professional lab. And those results comport with the heavy metal findings that Dr. Aiello's study brought forth. Dr. Aiello's study has the benefit that he had been out there for 10 years taking samples at these sites. So he had the baseline information. And people like EPA and Vistra are trying to discredit him, which is just unconscionable. So, Ed, I think the question I want to ask for you now, we've got about 10 minutes. These units, are, as you say, are being pushed in our communities. In Santa Cruz County, we've got a large one that is being pushed right next to a large working class community. And certainly there are more being pushed in Monterey County. The Gateway Project is there in the wings for more at Moss Landing. Monterey County and Santa Cruz County are both looking at ordinances to regulate where these things can be put and how to address these issues of public safety. Knowing what you know, knowing what you have experienced, what do you want to see in a Monterey County battery energy storage ordinance?
Well, I think it's applicable also to Watsonville.
Yes.
That the permitting organization and the communities and CEC, anybody working with these projects, need to take what I call a fire first focus. They have to, and it is not in John Laird's amendment. They're not required. They're required to coordinate with local fire departments, but it doesn't say that they should coordinate on the worst case fire, a thermal runaway worst case fire. Let's coordinate on that and how we would handle it.
Yeah.
So if you take a fire first focus, what you want to do, no fire, no pollution. That's as simple as it gets. So you want to look at you want to have an independent safety inspection of the building from to be built drawings through building to as-built, that there's a safety look, a checklist of going, what safety things have you built into this design?
And who approves that? Who would you trust to approve something like that? Not the developer. We see that with Vistra.
I believe that there are a lot of good people in government agencies, including the PUC. They should be that agency that does it. But a third party, if you're from the county, you should have an expert hire, an expert third party who's got like a former fire chief that's well aware of thermal runaway conditions and safety storage to look at the plant and be able to say to the public and to the Board of Supervisors, this is a safe building. This is a safe layout for these reasons, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And I think
that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. And I think that person should not maybe be just one person. It should be a team that includes hazardous materials certification, because that's what this is. If it's lithium.
Yes, and a software team, because is your software has it been tested? Is it going to react at the speed that you need it to react?
Yeah.
I'm also believe that it's illegal for the CEC to say they can put any BES, any dang place they want to put it, and you can all sit down in your county and shut up. I don't think that's legal.
I agree.
That may be a future battle going on, but it would be. I worry about Watsonville and the type of fire we had, if they have a thermal runaway, and that has the Board of Supervisors in Watsonville and county, Santa Cruz County, what assurances are they going to have that, put it this way, the operator ought to be coordinating with the Board of Supervisors right now on a fire first focused standpoint and explain why, in the worst case scenario, a thermal runaway, a more than one storage container, what happens? What are we going to do? How dangerous is that going to be? Is the wind going to blow from that into the local hospital or the high school or the residents? Let's talk reality. We've seen it here. And
I have to tell you something, that this developer for the project at 90 Minto Road, it's called New Leaf Energy. They're the installation company, but it's owned by Sequoia Energy LLC from Canada. Their analysis says, based on their fire of one battery, that the smoke plume would stay within the footprint of the development. It's not going to go off-site. And that's what's in their report. It really has, you said it very well. And yet that is what our supervisors are willing to accept. And we have to demand that this plume analysis, how it's going to travel, because it's not if, it's when. With these lithium batteries, they are failing in about 4 to 5 years. And we know that will happen. So when a fire happens, we have to insist that the plume analysis is based on the worst case scenario, which is all of them burning down. And really take into account wind speeds, wind direction, and stop this foolishness of lying to the public that it's safe, because that's exactly what they're doing. So we have 3 minutes. I've given you my soapbox opinion. Ed Mitchell from Never Again Moss Landing, I want to let you finish off the hour with what you think people need to do to make a difference and stand up and fight this.
They have to do things like you're doing, Becky. You're a champion of asking hard questions, trying to get the Board of Supervisors to, come forward and stand up in front of the Board of Supervisors and say, hey, if this burns up and people get killed or homes get burnt down, we're suing you because you didn't do this job. Why don't you take out a similar size rack and burn something, and that doesn't have to be lithium batteries, but burn something and see where the smoke goes. Let's do a burning every 2 hours, and from early morning and then later in the evening, see what happens. Quit telling us BS that Smokey the Bear and Becky can look at and say, this is stupid. This is not trustworthy behavior.
Yeah. And, they in this ordinance for Santa Cruz County, they've talked about air quality monitors at the perimeter of the property. Well, that's probably going to be inside, but it needs to also be outside where the people are to get baseline. Downwind. Yes.
If it's so safe, pay for the monitors to be positioned on roofs of buildings a mile or two away from the plant, and with some type of sensing devices that would tell you if it's harmful.
Exactly. And report the information regularly. My other big concern is with the Watsonville plant. It's in a seismic area, and the developer is denying that. There is no mention at all in the ordinance of seismic restrictions, and no mention about you can't stack these things, which we've just discovered. They could be stacked. in a seismically active area. We have 30 seconds. Ed Mitchell from Never Again Moss Landing, tell us how we can find more information about you and get involved.
Go online to neveragainmosslanding.org and join us, or work with STOP and the other people in Santa Cruz County that are trying to push for safe BESSes and become part of the movement. Speak up with your voice.
That's right.
And offer solutions that we're not getting from the industry.
Exactly. Well said. Ed Mitchell, thank you very much. I really appreciate the work you're doing and all of those in your community. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye for now. This concludes Community Matters. Thank you very much.